Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to more GBFC. In today's video, I'm going to predict the entire rest of the Premier League season and show you what I think the final league table is going to look like come the end of May. There are obviously some stories already this season that are finished, closed the book, shut the shop, such as Liverpool are going to be the champions. They're currently the champions-elect. They're 15 points clear of second place Arsenal. Pretty sure Arsenal are going to finish second as well. But then you've got from Nottingham Forest all the way down to Bournemouth, I'm going to say. You've got 7 teams here competing for 3 positions. And if you look at the points, Forest on 51, down to Bournemouth on 44, only 7 points split in those 7 teams. The race for the top 4, or the top 5 this season, because there's an extra spot next year in the Champions League, which is great news as a Chelsea fan. And if you're a fan of any of these teams, Forest, Chelsea, City, Newcastle, Brighton, Villa, and I'm going to say Bournemouth, but maybe Bournemouth now are going to, they've got 1 win in their last 5, but we're going to include Bournemouth in it because they've just been so good so often. They've got a great manager. If you're one of any of these teams, there's reason to be optimistic. There's reason to be excited. And I look through the fixtures of all of the teams that are left, and look, it would be a bit monotonous for me to do it, but the one conclusion that I can make is all of these teams, from Forest down to Bournemouth, there's so many of them playing so many of the other ones that it is going to be every weekend. Twist can happen, a turn can happen, the story might change. And look, doing a prediction for 10 game weeks in a row, the likelihood of me getting this right is probably very, very low indeed. And yes, I'm a Chelsea fan. There might be a bit of bias in there. But obviously, Chelsea have struggled this season. If we look at Chelsea's record, played 28, won half the games, and drawn and lost the other half of the games. 53 scored, 36 conceded. But I genuinely think the race for the top 4 this season, there's going to be so much ebbing and flowing and chopping and changing, and it's exciting. I think this year, the fact that Liverpool have been so dominant, with Arne Slot coming in as the manager, Klopp leaving, I think this season it was either going to be Liverpool or Arsenal. It's difficult if you're Man City, because they've had that squad together for a very long time. Having won the treble a couple of years ago, how do you keep people motivated to keep coming back and winning game after game? Which is why this season you can see inconsistency with Manchester City. I don't know if the fire's still there, or, as everyone keeps saying, it's because they don't have Rodri. They had Rodri all season, could be a different story. That's probably correct. The man is technically the best player in the world, the Ballon d'Or winner. But if we look down beneath the rest of the teams here, you've got another mini-league that takes place from Fulham down to about West Ham, where there's 9 points separating those 7 teams. And then if we keep going down, these guys in the bottom, like, this is embarrassing. Southampton, Leicester. I mean, Leicester have got 17 points, but they can't get a point right now for love nor money. And then Ipswich are also on a torrid run, yet they still beat Chelsea earlier. We move on. And Wolves have, they're still picking up enough points to make that gap between them and Ipswich something that will probably secure their Premier League survival. They're 6 points clear now. There's still a lot to play for. I've seen some mixed reviews about this Premier League season because Liverpool have obviously been so dominant. And look, if you're a Liverpool fan, you want to be looking at this league table every flipping minute of the day, don't you? 15 points ahead of Arsenal, who are winless in their last 3 games. It's mental how easy it has been for Liverpool to win this league. And I say easy. It's never easy to win a title. But, these aren't even going to be groundbreaking numbers, They're not going to get 100 points. They're not going to beat Man City's record. It was one of those seasons where I genuinely think if Arsenal would have bought a striker, then at least this number here, the 15-point gap, is probably halved, in my opinion, if Arsenal had a clinical elite goal scorer, because 17 goals scored is the difference there. That's a mega, mega number. But without any further ado, I'm going to go through now and I'm going to predict the rest of the season. So, some of you may know this website, worldfootball.net. They've got a table calculator. And as you can see, I've already started doing some of this week's games. It would be super tedious to go through every single week with the predictions. So we're going to skip forward to 3 matches to go until the end of the season. Chelsea against Liverpool. Now, based on the predictions that I've given so far, Liverpool will be the champions by the time they come to Chelsea, which is big. For teams that are competing for the Champions League or for survival maybe, playing Liverpool when they are already champions, considering they're probably going to go deep in the Champions League, this could be a very interesting thing in the build-up to finding out who does get top 4 or top 5 for Champions League football next season. If you're playing Liverpool, having already been crowned champions, still in the Champions League, you've got a much better chance of a win. So I'm going to give Chelsea a win at Stamford Bridge at home to Liverpool. Big win for Maresca there. Palace and Nottingham Forest draw. 2-2. Ipswich going to get a draw there. Leicester going to beat Southampton, so they could still stay up. Man City beating Wolves. And West Ham getting a win at home to Tottenham Hotspur. So that is now what the table looks like. Arsenal are pretty much in guaranteed top 4. Chelsea will get a Champions League spot here, according to this so far. City are now up to 3rd, Forest 4th. It's still so close. And look, these predictions, guys, there's a lot that will change after every game week. There could be injuries, suspensions, you name it. There's still so much that could happen. But based on what we know right now, this is what I think is going to happen. And this just, it looks so exciting, doesn't it? So exciting in this race for the top 5. Let's move into Matchweek 36. Bournemouth, not in that race anymore, but Aston Villa will leapfrog them in the table there. Fulham, nice win at home to Everton. Ipswich get the win against Brentford. Will they stay up? Liverpool, Arsenal. Liverpool going to win that game. Man United 2, West Ham 2. I think Newcastle will beat Chelsea, unfortunately. And Forest are going to win against Leicester. Man City going to win and relegate Southampton even more. Not that you can be relegated any more than relegated, but you know what I mean. Spurs 2-2 there. And Brighton, I think, are going to keep winning. So now, at the end of match week 36, Chelsea is 7th. Bloody hell. This is what I genuinely think is going to happen between now and the end of the season. Arsenal going to draw with Newcastle. Villa going to beat Spurs. 1-1 there. 1-1. I think Chelsea will beat Man United. 2-0 to Palace against Wolves. 2-1 Everton. Leicester, Ipswich. Leicester will already be down at this point, so I think Ipswich are going to go for it. City going to win again. And I think a draw there. So as it stands now, going into the last day of the season, this is what we've got. Liverpool 89 points. Arsenal 73. City could catch them on the final day on goal difference, apparently, according to what I've gone with. Forest, 68 points. Brighton, 67. Chelsea in the Europa League position on 66. Newcastle. So this is actually incredible. So based on what I think is going to happen between now, as in match week 29, and the 37th game week of the season, I have got it that on the final weekend of the season, Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea is a direct shootout as to who is going to finish in the Champions League positions. This is actually cooked, man. Because realistically, just because of how good Nottingham Forest have been this season, and I'm just not convinced by the way that Chelsea are playing. We've got good results. We won our last 3 games. But am I convinced by the way that we're playing? Not really. So if this is the league table after 37 matches, what stories do we have? Based on my predictions, we've got Ipswich and Wolves with the ability to both go down on the final day of the season. Leicester, Southampton already gone. Then for the bottom half, Brentford down in 16th. But then this is fascinating. Without any further ado, I'm going to predict the final day of the season. You're going to see the final table. I'm trying to be as honest as I can. I know this is a silly video, so I appreciate it if you've stayed this long. Bournemouth battering Leicester. Fulham, Man City 1-1. Ipswich versus West Ham. I mean, look, West Ham are 13th according to this. I think Ipswich are going to do it. I really do. Liverpool, they're going to win. Party, final day of the season. Man United, Aston Villa. All right, I'll give United a win for the end. Newcastle, I think they're going to beat Everton 2-0. Going to go back to the Forest-Chelsea game. I think Arsenal are going to score 6 on the last day. Tottenham versus Brighton. So Chelsea are also kind of relying on Spurs on the final day of the season. This is mental. I do think that'll finish a draw. And I also think Wolves are going to win on the last day too. Forest 1, Chelsea 1 is what I genuinely think is going to happen. I don't want to make this a big anticlimax, but this is what I think the Premier League table looks like at the end of the season. It's shocking. Wow. I know that this is just predictions and whatnot, but when I look at this, I've tried to be as honest as possible with what I think is going to happen, and I've come out with this, which is mental, actually. Liverpool champions with 92 points, Arsenal second with 76, Man City third with 71, Forest fourth with 69, Brighton are going to come fifth and get the Champions League with 68, Newcastle 68, Chelsea in seventh in the Conference League again. I've cooked it, haven't I? I've absolutely cooked it, but this is what being honest gets you. I can't believe it. Genuinely can't believe it. Aston Villa 8th, Bournemouth 9th, and then Palace 10th. Man United down in 12th. Spurs are going to finish 14th according to this. And Wolves stay up on the last day of the season despite Ipswich winning on the last day of the season. So, based on this, Champions League football for Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Forest, Brighton, Europa League for Newcastle, and Conference League probably for Chelsea. Let me know your predictions between now and the end of the season. If you want to use the website that I used, I'll leave a link to it in the description. It's just a bit of fun, obviously. But I've got myself all wound up by the end of this video because according to this, Chelsea are not getting into the Champions League. See you guys in the next one.